Surrogate decision-making is the assignment of one person to make decisions on behalf of another. In the healthcare setting, when patients either refuse to make their medical decisions or are no longer able to make decisions for themselves, a surrogate is expected to make decisions. This person can be called a guardian, healthcare proxy, healthcare agent, or durable power of attorney for healthcare. A surrogate decision-maker can be appointed by a court for an incompetent patient, appointed by a capable patient to act in the event that the patient loses capacity, or in some cases, based on the state specifications, appointed by the healthcare team. If a patient is ruled incompetent by a judge, the court will appoint a guardian to make decisions on behalf of the patient. An individual must meet certain criteria to be appointed a surrogate decision-maker. First, the surrogate decision-maker must be competent and capable to make informed and reasoned judgments. Second, he or she must have adequate knowledge and understanding of the patient's condition. Third, the surrogate should be able to speak to the values and priorities of the patient. Fourth, there must be a demonstration of commitment to the patient's interests, free from conflicts of interest and free from any controlling influence by others who might not act in the patient's best interests. Fifth, the surrogate must be willing and available to act as the surrogate decision-maker. Many states have regulations outlining the hierarchy for selecting a surrogate decision-maker in the event that the patient did not appoint one before losing capacity. In addition to placing potential surrogates into a hierarchical order of selection, they also may include expectations of surrogates and considerations that surrogates should make in order to act in this capacity. There are three general standards for surrogate decision-making: the pure autonomy standard, the substituted judgment standard, and the best interest standard. When patients have filled out an advance directive, surrogates are able to use the pure autonomy standard because the patient has expressed his or her autonomous wishes ahead of time. The substituted judgment standard calls for the surrogate to determine what decision the patient would make if given the choice to decide based upon his or her personal knowledge of that patient. In best interest standard, the surrogate makes a judgment call as to what he or she believes is in the patient's best interests. The Karen Ann Quinlan case in the 1970s legally affirmed the right of surrogate decision-makers to use substituted judgment on behalf of the patient. 17-year-old Karen Ann Quinlan was on life support in a persistent vegetative state, kept alive by a respirator and feeding tube, and her parents were her surrogate decision-makers. When the Quinlans requested that the respirator be removed from Karen because they had been told that she had no hope of recovery, the physicians on the case did not want to do so for fear of being accused of euthanasia. They were also concerned that the Quinlans might change their minds. After a lengthy lawsuit, the New Jersey Supreme Court named Karen's father her legal guardian and gave legal immunity to the physicians who would be removing her life-sustaining treatment. Exercising the right to privacy, Karen's father was allowed to request the removal of the respirator under the substituted judgment standard.